There are stories that begin with light and descend into shadow, not suddenly, not as a fall, but as a quiet crossing, where something untouched is drawn into a world that does not return what it takes. Tonight, we follow a life divided between two realities: a girl who began in sunlight and became something that could walk through darkness without being consumed by it. This is not only a story of loss, it is a story of transformation, of innocence that does not survive, but does not disappear either. For some lives are not meant to remain whole, they are meant to be split. Between what was and what must be. If this kind of storytelling brings you inner peace, feel free to like the video and subscribe, but only if it truly brings you peace. And let me know in the comments where in the world are you listening from, and what time it is for you right now. It's always strangely comforting to know who else is out there closing their eyes to the same story. So settle in, let the world grow quiet, and let's dream together for a while. Before the descent, there was no shadow, no division, no knowledge of what lay beneath the surface of the world. There was only light, a world untouched by absence, a life that moved without interruption, without the quiet awareness that something could be taken and not returned. This is where she begins, not as queen, not as myth, but as a presence within something that has not yet broken. The earth is full, alive, unchanging in its rhythm. The seasons do not shift, they do not fade, they remain within a single condition: growth, warmth, continuation. There is no winter, no loss, no pause, for nothing has yet been taken from it, and within this world she moves, not with awareness, not with caution, but freely, as something that has never known interruption. Persephone does not question what surrounds her. She does not see the world as something fragile, for it has never shown her anything else. Everything continues, everything returns, everything remains. This is the illusion of permanence. The belief that what is will continue as it is, that what exists cannot be removed, that what is felt will not change. But the world is not only what is seen. Beneath it, something else exists, a space that does not follow the same rules, a place where light does not reach, where what is taken does not return in the same form. This place is not distant, it is not separate. It exists beneath what appears whole, waiting, not with intention, not with urgency, but with certainty. For what is untouched does not remain untouched forever, and what has never been divided will one day split. The gods know this, not all, not fully, but enough. Enough to feel that something is approaching, something that will alter what has always been. But she does not know. She remains within the light, within the simplicity of a world that has not yet revealed its other side. And that is what makes the moment to come inevitable. Not because it is forced, but because it has not yet been experienced. For a life that has never known loss cannot remain as it is. It must change, not gradually, not gently, but completely. And when it does, the world itself will change with it. For what is about to be taken is not only a girl, it is balance. And once balance is broken, it does not return in the same form again. Before she was divided, she was whole, not as a title, not as a name spoken with weight, but as a presence that had never been interrupted. The meadow holds her, not as a place that contains, but as something that continues around her, without edge, without end. It does not begin where she stands, and it does not finish where her sight fails. It simply extends. Light rests across it without movement. The air does not change. Nothing fades long enough to be called loss. This is where she lives. not within time as it is later understood, but within something that does not yet measure itself. She moves through it without question. Barefoot. Unhurried. The ground does not resist her. The flowers do not close. The sky does not alter. Everything remains as it is, and because it remains, she has never learned to expect anything else. This is not ignorance. It is completeness. A life that has not yet been divided into before and after. They call her Kore, the girl. A name that does not carry weight because nothing has yet required it to. She does not carry meaning beyond herself. She is simply what she is. Her hands move through the meadow, gathering what does not need to be gathered. Petals, stems, fragments of colour that return as quickly as they are taken. There is no cost to what she does. No absence follows her touch. This is what protects her. Not strength, not awareness, but the absence of consequence. For a world that replaces everything immediately does not teach loss, and without loss there is no caution. She bends again, lifting another flower. It yields without resistance, as everything here does. Nothing holds itself back, nothing withholds. The meadow offers, endlessly, and she accepts, without question, without thought that extends beyond the moment. The light remains constant. There is no shadow deep enough to suggest another world beneath this one. No darkness that lingers long enough to be noticed. The earth does not open. The sky does not dim. Everything continues, as it always has. But continuation is not permanence, and what has never been interrupted does not remain so. Beneath the meadow, something exists that does not follow these rules. It does not bloom. It does not return what it takes in the same way. It does not replace absence with immediate presence. It holds, and what it holds changes. She does not feel it yet, not in a way that alters her movement, but something has already begun, not at the surface, not where light rests easily, but below, a shift. Small, unseen. The kind that does not announce itself. The kind that forms quietly, without drawing attention, until it reaches the point where it can no longer remain hidden. She walks further into the meadow, or perhaps the meadow moves around her. It is impossible to tell where one ends and the other begins. Her attention rests on what is near, on colour, on texture, on the quiet satisfaction of gathering what is offered. She does not look outward, she does not look down. There has never been a reason to. This is the nature of innocence, not blindness, but trust. A certainty that what is beneath will hold, that what is given will remain, that what exists will continue to exist. The air shifts, not enough to be felt, not enough to be named, but enough to exist. A pause that does not yet reach her. The meadow remains unchanged, and yet it is no longer exactly what it was. This is how change enters. Not as interruption, but as difference so slight it cannot be recognised until it is too late to return to what was before it. She kneels again, reaches, her fingers close around another stem, and in that motion, something beneath her answers, not loudly, not violently, but certainly. The ground does not break yet, the light does not vanish. But the moment has already shifted. There is no longer only before, there is now after, though she does not yet know it. She remains within the same movement, within the same quiet gathering of flowers, but what surrounds her is no longer untouched. The meadow has held her, protected her, sustained her within a world that did not change. But it cannot hold her forever, for what exists beneath it has begun to reach upward, not with urgency, not with force, but with inevitability. This is the final stillness, the last moment where nothing has yet been taken. the last breath of a life that has never known division. She does not pause. She does not hesitate. She cannot. For nothing in her has been shaped to expect what comes next. And so she continues. One step, one motion, one quiet act of reaching towards something that appears unchanged. But beneath that stillness, something has already answered. And once it answers, nothing remains as it was. The girl in the meadow still stands in light, but the world beneath her has begun to open. And when it does, she will not be only Corey. She will become something else. Not by choice, not by desire, but by crossing. And once crossed, there is no return to the life that has not yet known loss, only forward, into something that does not give back what it takes, in the same way again. Not all lives begin in isolation. Some are shaped by presence, by a force that surrounds them before they understand what it means. Persephone is not only the girl in the meadow, she is also the daughter. And that word carries something deeper than name. It carries attachment, protection, a bond that does not question itself because it has never been tested. Demeter does not watch from afar. She does not allow distance to grow between them. Her presence is constant, not always visible, but always there, in the earth, in the fields, in the quiet certainty that what lives continues. This is how Persephone knows the world, not through explanation, but through care, through the unseen structure that ensures nothing is taken without return. Demeter does not teach through words, she teaches through preservation, through the way the ground yields, through the way life answers itself, through the absence of loss. This is what she gives her daughter, not only life, but continuity, a world that does not fracture, a world that does not deny, a world that does not let what is loved disappear. Persephone does not see this as protection. She does not recognize the care within it, for she has never known anything else. What surrounds her feels natural, unquestioned, as though the world itself exists this way by its own design. But it does not. It is held, maintained, kept intact by something that does not allow it to break. Demeter moves through the world not as one among many, but as something that sustains it. The fields answer her. The soil responds. Growth follows where she touches. Nothing withers in her presence. Nothing fades beyond return. This is her power, not force, not destruction, but preservation, the refusal to let life end without renewal. And Persephone exists within that power, inside it, shaped by it, unaware of what it keeps away. For protection does not only give, it also prevents. It creates a boundary, not seen, not spoken, but present, a limit between what is allowed and what is kept outside. Persephone has never crossed it. She has never needed to. Everything she is has been formed within its safety. But safety does not remain untouched forever. It does not extend without challenge, and what is protected often draws attention. Not always from above, not from what shares the same light, but from what exists beyond it. Demeter feels this, not as fear, but as awareness. A quiet recognition that what she has held cannot remain held forever, that what grows does not stay within one place, that what is loved cannot be kept unchanged. She does not speak of it, she does not reveal what she senses, for to name it would be to bring it closer. And so she continues, holding, preserving, extending the world as it has always been. But something has already begun, not within her, not within Persephone, but beyond them, a movement that does not follow her will, that does not answer to her presence, something that exists outside what she can sustain. Persephone does not feel this. She continues as she always has, within the meadow, within the light, within the world that has never withdrawn from her. But the bond between them, though unbroken, is not absolute. It does not reach everywhere. It does not extend into what lies beneath. This is what neither of them fully holds. That protection has limits. That care cannot prevent everything. That even what is most closely held can be taken. Not through failure, not through weakness, but through the nature of what exists beyond it. Demeter remains near. Even when unseen, even when unspoken, her presence wraps around the world Persephone knows, and within that presence there is stillness, a temporary balance, a moment that holds before something shifts. For what has been preserved is about to be tested, not gradually, not in ways that can be adjusted, but completely. And when that moment comes, what has been protected will not remain untouched, the bond will not break, but it will be stretched into something it has never had to endure. Persephone will no longer be only daughter, Demeter will no longer be only protector, and what exists between them will enter a space where it cannot remain as it was. This is where the change begins. Not in loss itself, but in the quiet realization that even what is most carefully held cannot be kept forever. Some worlds do not change. They do not move forward in the way time is later understood. They do not divide themselves into before and after. They remain, held within a single condition, unbroken, uninterrupted. This is the world Persephone knows, a world of eternal spring, not as season, but as state, a condition where nothing fades long enough to be felt as loss, where nothing ends without immediately beginning again. The air is always warm, not with intensity, but with steadiness, the kind that does not shift, the kind that does not ask the body to adjust. The light does not change its angle, it does not dim, it does not leave, it rests, across everything, as though it has always been there and always will be. The earth answers without hesitation. Where something grows, it continues. Where something is taken, it returns. There is no absence, no space left empty long enough to be noticed. This is what defines this world, not abundance alone, but continuity, the refusal of interruption. Persephone moves within this without awareness of its uniqueness, for what is constant is not questioned. It becomes the shape of understanding itself. She does not imagine another state. She does not consider what it would mean for the flowers not to bloom, for the air to cool, for the light to withdraw. These are not possibilities. They do not exist within her world. This is what eternal spring gives her. Not only comfort, but certainty. A life where nothing must be prepared for, where nothing must be held on to, because nothing is ever truly lost. She gathers flowers as she always has, hands moving through colour and softness, petals bending without resistance, stems yielding without break. And when they are taken, others rise, instantly, effortlessly. This is not magic to her, it is normal, the expected shape of the world. But what is expected is not always permanent, even here, even within something that feels complete. There are signs, not visible, not spoken, but present, in the quiet tension beneath what appears unchanged. For a world that does not change holds within it the possibility of sudden change. Not gradual, not eased into, but complete. Demeter sustains this world. Her presence holds it together, prevents the shift, maintains the balance. But balance that is held is not the same as balance that exists naturally. It requires continuation, attention, will, and anything that requires such effort cannot remain untouched forever. Persephone does not see this. She does not feel the tension beneath the surface, for it has never reached her. The world remains soft, open, endlessly giving, and she exists within it as something that has never been denied. This is what makes the coming change so absolute. For a life that has known only continuation cannot adjust slowly to interruption. it must break, and in breaking, it becomes something else. The meadow stretches around her, unmarked by time, unchanged by movement. Every step she takes feels as though it has always been there, as though nothing she does alters what exists. This is the illusion of permanence, the belief that what surrounds her is not affected by her presence, that the world exists independently of what moves within it. But this is not entirely true, for she is part of it, and what happens to her will happen to it as well. The stillness deepens, not visibly, not in a way that breaks the surface, but beneath it. Something begins to shift. A quiet movement that does not yet reach the light, that does not yet alter the air, but exists, waiting, as all things do, before they emerge. Persephone continues, unaware, unchanged, still within the same rhythm that has never failed her, still within a world that has never asked her to adapt. But this is the final form of that world, the last moment where everything remains as it has always been. For eternal spring is not endless, it only feels that way until it is interrupted, and when that interruption comes, it does not arrive gently, it does not prepare, it does not warn, it replaces. Completely. The warmth will not remain, the light will not hold, the ground will not stay closed, and what she has known will no longer exist in the same way. This is the truth beneath all stillness, that what does not change is only waiting for the moment it must, and when it does, nothing returns as it was before. Persephone does not yet feel this ending. She remains within the fullness of what surrounds her, within the certainty of a world that has never denied her anything. But certainty is not permanence, and what feels eternal is often only untested. The meadow holds its breath, the light remains, the flowers continue to bloom, but beneath it all, something has already begun. And once it reaches the surface, eternal spring will end, not gradually, but all at once, and in its place, something new will rise, something that does not return what it takes in the same way again. Not all attention is seen. Some of it begins long before it is felt, long before it takes form. It gathers quietly around what stands out without knowing that it does. Persephone does not see herself as anything apart. She does not measure her presence. She does not recognize the way the world responds to her, for she has never needed to. She exists within a space where nothing competes, nothing compares, nothing reflects her back to herself as something distinct. This is what keeps her unaware. Not absence of beauty, but absence of contrast. For beauty is not only what is seen, it is what is noticed, and what is noticed is what differs. In the meadow, everything is beautiful, everything blooms, everything holds its form without fading. There is no decline, no imperfection that marks one thing as separate from another, and so she does not stand out, not to herself. But beyond the meadow, the world is not the same. It does not hold one condition. It does not remain within endless bloom. There are spaces where light does not stay, where growth does not continue, where what exists can be lost, and in those places, something like her does not pass unnoticed. Her presence carries something the rest of the world does not. A fullness, a continuity, a kind of untouched existence that has not yet been broken by change. This is what draws attention, not her form alone, but what she represents. A life that has not yet been divided, a being that has not yet been altered by absence, and what is untouched does not remain unseen. The gods observe, not always directly, not always with intention, but with awareness. For nothing that holds such presence exists without being noticed. Zeus knows, not fully, not as a plan formed in certainty, but as recognition that something within the world has reached a point where it cannot remain as it is. Others feel it differently, not as knowledge, but as pull. A quiet draw towards something that has not yet been claimed. For beauty does not only attract admiration, it attracts desire. Possession, the urge to take what stands apart and make it part of something else. Persephone does not feel this. Not yet. She continues as she always has, within the meadow, within the light, within a world that has never turned its attention into something that demands. But attention, once formed, does not disappear. It grows, it sharpens, it begins to move. What was once passive becomes directed, and direction changes everything. For what is observed from a distance eventually seeks to come closer, to reach, to claim, to alter what it has seen. This is where beauty becomes something else. Not only what is admired, but what is drawn toward consequence. Demeter senses this, not as clear vision, but as tension, a shift in what surrounds her daughter, a quiet disturbance within what has always remained still. She does not name it, she does not confront it, for to do so would be to acknowledge what has not yet arrived, but her awareness deepens. Her presence tightens around the world she holds, as though something might be kept out if it is held strongly enough. But what is drawn does not always remain outside. Persephone continues to gather flowers, her movements unchanged, her expression untouched by anything beyond the moment. But she is no longer only within the meadow, not in the way she was before, for something beyond it has begun to notice, and what notices begins to move closer. The air holds a subtle weight, not enough to shift her steps, not enough to alter what she sees, but enough to exist. A quiet presence that was not there before, the kind that does not reveal itself immediately, the kind that waits until the moment it can no longer remain unseen. This is how change approaches, not through force, not through sudden disruption, but through attention that becomes intention, and intention always leads to action. The meadow remains bright, unbroken, still within the illusion of permanence, but that illusion is beginning to thin, not visibly, but inevitably. For what has drawn attention cannot remain untouched, and what has been seen cannot return to being unseen. Persephone does not yet feel the consequence of this. She remains within the same movement, the same light, the same endless bloom, but she is no longer alone in it, not in the way she was before. For beyond what she knows, something has already begun to reach toward her, and when it arrives, it will not come as admiration, it will come as change, complete. Unavoidable. The kind that does not ask to be accepted, the kind that does not wait to be understood, only the kind that takes, and in taking, divides everything that came before it from everything that follows. Not all watching requires eyes. Some of it exists as awareness, as presence, as something that does not need to be seen, to see. Persephone remains within the meadow, within the same light, within the same endless bloom that has never withdrawn from her, and yet she is no longer untouched. Not in the way she was before, for what has drawn attention is now being observed. Not openly, not in a way that breaks the surface of her world, but from beyond it, from beneath it, from places that do not follow the same rules as the light she knows. There are realms that exist without needing to be revealed, spaces that do not rise into view, but remain beneath what is seen. The underworld is one of them, not distant, not separate, but layered beneath everything that appears whole. It does not bloom, it does not return what it takes in the same way. It holds, and what it holds becomes part of it. Hades watches, not with longing as it is often understood, not with sudden desire, but with recognition, for what he sees is not only a girl, it is contrast, a presence that does not belong to his world and yet exists above it, something untouched by what defines his realm, something that has not yet known descent, and what has not yet descended draws the gaze of what exists below. This is not intrusion. Not yet. It is observation, quiet, unmoving, but present, the kind that does not fade once it has begun. Persephone does not feel it, not directly, not as fear, not as awareness that something is watching her steps, but something within the world shifts. The light remains the same. The flowers continue to bloom, but beneath it there is tension, a subtle weight that does not belong to the meadow, the kind that does not change what is seen, but alters what is felt. She pauses for a moment, not because she understands, but because something has interrupted the complete ease she has always known. A brief stillness, then it passes, and she continues, for what is unseen does not yet hold her, but it is there, watching, waiting, not in haste, not with urgency, but with certainty. For what is observed long enough begins to take shape, begins to move from awareness into intention, and intention does not remain still. The gods above do not all see this. Some sense it, as disturbance, as imbalance that has not yet revealed itself. But they do not act, for what has not yet happened is not yet something to be answered. This is the nature of the divine. That awareness does not always lead to intervention. That what is coming is often allowed to come. Demeter feels it more deeply, not as vision, but as unease, a subtle fracture within the certainty she has built, something reaching from beyond her control, from a place her presence does not fully extend into. She does not see Hades, she does not hear the watching, but she knows that what she has held so carefully is no longer untouched, and yet she cannot stop what has not yet begun. Persephone remains in the meadow, still gathering, still moving within the same rhythm that has always guided her. But she is no longer alone, not truly, for the unseen does not require her awareness to exist. It does not need her acknowledgement. It does not wait for her to understand it. It simply is. This is where the shift deepens, from attention into presence, from presence into intention. The distance between worlds begins to thin, not visibly, not in a way that breaks the surface of the earth, but in something beneath it. A closeness that was not there before, a connection forming between what is above and what lies below. Hades does not move yet, he does not reach, he remains within the space that defines him, but his awareness has already crossed that boundary, and once awareness crosses, movement follows. Persephone bends again, her hand reaching for another flower. The same motion, the same quiet action, unchanged, and yet no longer untouched, for beneath her, the earth is no longer only what it appears to be, it holds something that has begun to respond, not to her movement alone, but to what now surrounds it. The unseen has become present, and presence cannot remain without consequence. This is the final boundary, the last moment where the worlds remain separate, where what is above has not yet been taken below. Persephone does not know this. She cannot, for knowledge comes after change, not before it. She remains within the light, within the illusion that nothing watches her from beyond it, but the unseen has already marked her, not as possession, not yet, but as possibility, and what becomes possible moves toward becoming real. The meadow remains bright, still, unbroken, but beneath it, something has begun to rise, and once it reaches the surface, what was unseen will no longer remain hidden. It will act, and in that action, the world above will open. Some moments do not unfold. They arrive whole, without warning, without transition, without the slow movement that allows the mind to follow what is changing. They do not ask to be understood. They break the world as it is. The meadow still holds its light. Nothing, at first, appears altered. The flowers continue to bloom. The air remains soft. The ground answers each step as it always has. Persephone moves within it, unchanged. Her hands reach again for what has always been there, colour, softness, something that bends without resistance and returns without cost. This is the final moment of that world, not marked, not separated from what came before, but complete. She bends. Her fingers hover just above the stem, and beneath her, something answers, not as sound, not as tremor, but as force that does not begin at the surface. The earth does not warn her. It does not shift gradually. It opens. At once. The ground splits with certainty, not as a crack, but as a passage, as though it has always contained this opening, and has only now chosen to reveal it. The light does not follow. It remains above, stopping at the edge, as if it cannot enter what lies beneath. The meadow does not understand what has happened. It continues, but it is no longer whole. Persephone falls, not as a choice, not as a misstep, but as something taken. The descent is immediate, without measure. There is no distance she can name, no point she can hold on to as reference. Only movement downward, away from everything that has ever answered her. The air changes, the warmth does not remain, the light does not return, and for the first time, nothing responds in the way she expects. Above her, the earth closes, not slowly, not reluctantly, it seals. The meadow returns to itself, unchanged in appearance, untouched in form, as though what has been taken has left no visible absence. But absence is there, invisible, complete. Below, the world does not open in welcome. It holds, still, unmoving. The air is heavier, not with weight alone, but with finality. A place that does not shift to accommodate what enters it. This is not the meadow. This is not continuation. This is something else. Persephone reaches the ground. The fall ends not with impact, but with arrival. She stands, or tries to, within a world that does not reflect her back to herself. Nothing here answers as it should. Nothing returns what she gives. This is the first moment of separation, not only from place, but from certainty. Hades stands within this world as something that does not need to arrive. He is already there, not emerging from shadow, not stepping forward, but existing as part of what surrounds her. He does not rush. He does not claim the moment with movement, for the act has already been completed. She has crossed. The taking is not in the fall, it is in the separation. Persephone looks upward, but there is no opening, no break in the earth, no return of light, only distance that has already closed. This is where understanding begins, not as clarity, but as absence of what once was certain. The world she knew is no longer present, and what surrounds her now does not explain itself. Above, something else begins. Demeter feels it, not as sight, not as sound, but as rupture. A sudden emptiness where presence once existed. A break that does not reveal its cause, but cannot be ignored. The earth hesitates, for the first time. A pause that has never existed enters the world. The flowers do not immediately answer. The air does not move in the same way. Something has been taken, and not returned. This is new, and what is new cannot remain without consequence. Below, Persephone remains within the unfamiliar. The stillness here is not gentle. It does not hold her. It surrounds her, complete, without opening. Hades watches, not as intruder, not as stranger, but as one who has acted, and now waits for what follows. For what has been taken is not yet transformed. It is only here. And presence, once changed, does not immediately become something else. It must remain. Within the space it has entered, the earth above continues. But it is no longer the same. The balance has shifted, not visibly, not completely, but enough. Enough to begin what cannot be undone. This is the dividing moment, before and after. The girl in the meadow does not exist in the same way now. She has crossed from one world into another, not through choice, not through understanding, but through inevitability. For what remains untouched does not remain so. The earth has opened, and in opening it has taken more than a life. It has taken certainty, continuity, the illusion that what exists will always remain. And now both worlds carry what has changed. Above, absence. Below, arrival. Neither will return to what they were before. For some moments do not pass, they divide everything. And once divided, nothing becomes whole in the same way again. Not all taking is loud. Some of it is quiet, already completed, before it is understood. Persephone stands within the underworld, not as one who has chosen to arrive, not as one who understands where she is, but as someone who has already crossed. The movement that brought her here is over. What remains is presence, a world that does not shift to meet her, a space that does not answer her as the meadow once did. Hades does not step forward as conqueror. He does not declare what has been done. He exists, within the same stillness that defines this place. For what he has taken does not need to be announced. It is already real. Persephone does not yet understand the meaning of this. She does not yet see herself as anything other than what she was. The daughter, the girl, the one who moved through light without question, but the world has changed around her. And when the world changes, identity follows, slowly, unwillingly, without asking. Hades watches her, not with impatience, not with urgency, but with certainty. For this is not a moment that requires persuasion, it requires time. For what has been taken must settle, must remain long enough to begin to change. The underworld does not rush transformation. It holds. It allows what enters it to become part of it. This is its nature. Persephone looks around. There is no bloom here, no immediate answer to her presence. The air does not warm, the ground does not soften. Everything remains as it is, unchanging, unyielding. This is the first difference she feels, not as fear, but as absence of what once responded. She moves, but the world does not move with her. This is new, and new does not settle easily. Hades speaks, not loudly, not with force, but with weight. Words that do not ask, words that do not seek agreement. They state, they define. He names her, not as she was, but as what she has become. Queen. The word does not fit her yet. It does not settle within her understanding, for it belongs to a world she has not yet accepted. But the naming is not for her alone. It is for the place itself. To recognize what has entered it. To begin the process of making it part of its order. Persephone does not answer, not because she refuses, but because she does not yet know how, for she is still between what she was and what she is being made into. This is the space of transformation, not complete, not settled, but unavoidable. Hades does not take her again, he has already done so. Now he holds, not physically, but through the nature of the place itself. The underworld does not release easily. It does not return what it receives in the same form. This is what defines it, and she is within it now. The distance from the world above is not measured in space. It is measured in condition, in difference, in what no longer connects as it once did. Persephone feels this separation, not fully, not clearly, but enough. Enough to know that what she knew is no longer here. Enough to feel that something has been taken that cannot be immediately returned. Hades does not force understanding. He does not shape her into acceptance. For acceptance is not what makes this real. Presence does. Time does. Remaining does. This is how she becomes what he has named her. Not in a single moment, but in the refusal of the world to return her to what she was. Above, Demeter begins to search. But that search has not yet reached here. It has not yet touched what has already been done, for this moment exists below. Separate, complete in itself, Persephone stands within it, no longer only daughter, not yet fully queen, but no longer untouched. The title has been spoken, the place has accepted it, and now it begins. The slow transformation of what has been taken into what it must become. This is what it means to be made queen. Not to be crowned in light, but to remain in shadow long enough that it becomes part of you. Hades does not move closer. He does not need to, for the world itself now holds her in place, and what the world holds does not leave unchanged. Persephone looks once more for what she has lost, but there is no opening, no return, only the presence of what is now, and in that presence something begins, not acceptance, not surrender, but change, quiet, inevitable. The girl has been taken, the queen has been named, and between those two, a transformation has begun that cannot be undone. For what is held in this place becomes part of it, and what becomes part of it does not return as it was before. Descent is not only movement, it is change, a slow separation from what once defined you, even after the fall has already ended. Persephone has arrived below, but arrival is not understanding. It is only the beginning of what follows. The underworld does not reveal itself all at once. It does not open like the meadow. It does not offer itself to be known. It remains, layered, quiet, holding more than it shows. She moves through it without direction, not because there is nowhere to go, but because nothing calls her forward. Above, the world answered her presence. Here, nothing does. This is the first true darkness, not absence of light alone, but absence of response. Her steps do not echo in a way she understands. The ground does not soften. The air does not change. Everything remains as it is, unaffected. This is what begins to shape her, not force, not command, but stillness that does not move for her. Time feels different here, not slower, not faster, but without measure. There is no sun to rise, no shadow to lengthen, no cycle that marks the passing of moments, only continuation. But not the same continuation she knew. This one does not return what it takes, it holds it, keeps it, allows it to settle. Persephone feels the distance now, not in space, but in condition. The memory of the meadow does not fade, but it no longer surrounds her. It becomes something else, something behind her, something that cannot be reached through movement alone. This is the beginning of longing, not as pain yet, but as awareness that what was is no longer present. She reaches for it, not physically, but inwardly, and finds nothing that answers in the same way. The darkness here is not empty, it is full of presence, of silence that carries weight, of a world that does not need to be seen to exist. Shapes move within it, not clearly, not fully, but enough to be felt. This place is inhabited, not by life as she knew it, but by something else, something that has already crossed, that has already become part of this world. She is among them now, but not yet like them, not yet changed, not yet settled into what this place requires. Hades remains near, not guiding, not leading, but present, a constant within the stillness. He does not explain the world to her, for explanation would suggest choice. And choice is not what defines this place. Presence does, remaining does. The longer she stays, the more the descent continues, not downward now, but inward, into what she must become. This is what descent truly is, not falling, but changing. The memory of light does not leave her, but it no longer shapes what surrounds her. It becomes contrast, a difference that grows sharper with each moment she remains below. The more she remembers, the more she feels what is not here. This is where loss begins to take form, not as something taken in a single moment, but as something realized over time. Piece by piece, breath by breath, she walks further. Though there is no path, though nothing directs her, movement becomes its own necessity. For stillness here is not the same as above. It does not comfort, it contains. And to remain within it too long is to feel its full weight. This is what the underworld offers. Not cruelty, not chaos, but permanence. A place where what enters stays, and in staying becomes something else. Persephone begins to feel this change. Not visibly, not in form, but in awareness. The certainty she carried begins to loosen. The expectation that the world will answer her begins to fade. And in its place, something new forms, a quiet recognition that she is no longer within what she was, and that what she will become cannot be the same. This is the true descent, not the fall through the earth, but the movement away from what once defined her. The distance grows, not in space, but in self. The girl who gathered flowers remains, but she is no longer untouched, no longer complete in the same way. She stands within darkness now, not resisting it, not accepting it, but existing within it. And existence here changes everything. For darkness, when it does not leave, becomes part of what you are. The descent continues, not with speed, not with force, but with certainty. And once it reaches its depth, there is no returning to what stood above unchanged, only forward, into what this place will make of her, into what she must become, not by choice, but by remaining. Light does more than illuminate. It defines. It gives shape to what is seen, and in doing so, it gives certainty to those who move within it. Without it, things do not disappear, they become something else. Persephone stands within a world where light does not reach, not as darkness alone, but as absence of what once explained everything around her. In the meadow, nothing needed to be questioned, everything revealed itself. Here nothing does. Forms exist, but they do not present themselves fully. Edges are uncertain, distance is unclear. What is near and what is far no longer separate in the same way. This is the first disorientation, not of place, but of perception. She looks outward, but the world does not return her gaze with clarity. It holds itself back, as though it does not need to be fully seen to exist. This is what darkness becomes, not emptiness, but independence. A world that does not require light to define it. Persephone moves carefully, not out of fear, but because certainty no longer guides her steps. The ground beneath her feels real, but not familiar. It does not respond. It does not adjust. It remains as it is, unmoved by her presence. This is what separates this world from the one above. Above, she was part of what surrounded her. Here she is within it, contained. The difference is quiet, but complete. Time does not pass in a way she can understand. Without light, there is no measure, no cycle, no return, only continuation that does not mark itself. Moments do not separate, they blend, stretch, lose their edges. This is how the underworld holds what enters it, not through force, but through stillness that does not allow change to be felt easily. The memory of light remains, sharp, clear, but distant, like something that belongs to another existence, another version of herself. She remembers the meadow, the warmth, the way the world answered her without hesitation, and in remembering, she begins to understand what is no longer here. This is loss, not in the moment of being taken, but in the realization that what was cannot be reached again. The darkness does not take this memory from her. It allows it, but in allowing it, it sharpens it. For contrast gives meaning, and here contrast is all that remains of what was before. Shapes move in the distance, not clearly, not fully, but enough to be known. This place is not empty. It is filled with what has already crossed, with what has already become part of this world. They do not approach her, they do not speak. But their presence is undeniable. This is a world without light, but not without awareness. Persephone begins to feel herself differently within it, not as centre, but as one among many, not as something the world responds to, but as something the world contains. This is a shift she cannot fully name, but she feels it, in the way her movement no longer shapes what surrounds her, in the way the world continues, unchanged by her presence. This is what darkness teaches, not through words, but through experience. That existence does not always revolve around you, that the world can continue without answering your presence. Hades remains near, not guiding, not explaining, but existing as part of the same stillness. He does not bring light with him. He does not change the nature of the world she now stands in, for he belongs to it, and what belongs does not alter what defines it. Persephone looks again into the distance, but distance has no clear meaning here. Everything feels equally near and equally unreachable. This is the final separation from what she was, for light gave her clarity. It gave her certainty. And without it, she must begin to understand the world differently, not through what is seen, but through what is felt, through what remains, even when it cannot be fully understood. The darkness does not close around her, it does not suffocate, it simply exists, unchanging, unyielding, and in that constancy she begins to change, slowly, quietly, inevitably. For a world without light does not remove you, it reveals what remains when light is gone, and what remains cannot return to what it was before. Persephone stands within this world now, no longer defined by what she sees, but by what she is becoming within it, and that becoming has only just begun. Silence is not the absence of sound, it is the absence of response, a space where nothing answers, even when something is given. Persephone stands within it now, not surrounded by noise that has faded, but by a stillness that has never been broken. The underworld does not echo, it does not return what is spoken, it does not carry sound outward and back again, it absorbs, holds, keeps everything within itself. This is what makes it different from the world above. Above, even silence was alive, filled with movement, with wind, with the quiet continuation of life. Here, silence is complete, not empty, but full in a way that does not need to express itself. Persephone moves through it. Her steps do not mark the world, they do not alter what surrounds her. Even the sound of her movement feels contained, as though it does not travel beyond her. This is the first isolation. Not being alone, but not being heard. She speaks, softly, not as a call for help, but as a test, a reaching outward. But the sound does not return, it disappears, not violently, not abruptly, but completely, as though it was never meant to exist beyond the moment it was made. This is what silence does here. It does not answer, it does not reflect, it remains unchanged. The world above always responded, even without words. The ground softened, the air shifted, the flowers bent toward her touch. Everything acknowledged her presence. Here nothing does. This is what begins to shape her differently, not through force, but through absence. For when nothing answers you, you begin to turn inward, not by choice, but by necessity. The silence becomes something she must exist within, not something she can change, not something she can break. Hades does not interrupt it. He does not fill the space with voice, for he belongs to this silence. He does not stand apart from it. He is part of what sustains it. When he speaks, it is not to replace the silence, it is to exist within it. Measured, contained, words that do not expand beyond themselves. This is the language of this world, not expression, but statement. Persephone begins to feel the weight of this, not as burden, but as presence that does not leave. The silence follows her, not behind, not around, but through everything. It does not change with her movement. It does not break when she acts. It remains constant. This is what makes it complete. Above, silence could be broken. Here, it cannot. She stops moving, not because she has reached a destination, but because movement no longer changes anything. Stillness meets stillness. Nothing shifts. Nothing answers. This is where understanding begins, not as thought, but as feeling. That this world does not exist in relation to her, it exists on its own, independent, unmoved, and she must exist within it without expecting it to respond. This is the beginning of transformation, the moment where expectation begins to dissolve, where the need for response begins to fade, not completely, not easily, but inevitably. For silence, when it does not break, changes the one who listens to it. The presence of others does not remove it. The shapes that move in the distance remain silent. Their existence does not reach outward. It stays within them, as everything here does. Persephone feels this separation, not from others, but from connection itself, the kind she once knew, the kind that required no effort, that answered without being asked, that reflected her presence back to her, that no longer exists here. This is the silence of the underworld, not empty, not lifeless, but complete in itself. A world that does not need to speak, to be real. She breathes. The sound does not travel, it remains with her, as everything does. And in that moment, something begins to change, not in the world, but in her. A small shift, a quiet adjustment, the beginning of learning how to exist without being answered. This is not acceptance, not yet, but it is the first step toward it. For silence, when it surrounds you completely, does not leave you unchanged, it reshapes how you exist within it. Persephone remains within this silence, not breaking it, not escaping it, but beginning, slowly, to understand it. And understanding is the first form of becoming. For what she will be in this place must be shaped by what this place is. And this place is silence, unbroken, endless, and now part of her. Grief does not arrive with explanation. It does not announce what has been taken. It appears as absence, a space where something should be and is not. Demeter feels it before she understands it, not through sight, not through sound, but through break. A sudden interruption in what has never been interrupted. The earth pauses, not visibly, not in a way that can be seen by those who move within it, but in something deeper. A hesitation, a moment where what should continue does not. This is the first fracture, the first sign that something has been taken. Demeter searches for it, not outward at first, but inward, as though what is missing might still be found within the space where it once existed, but it is not there. And in that realization, grief begins, not as emotion alone, but as force, a presence that moves through her as completely as she once moved through the world. Persephone is gone, not distant, not hidden, gone. The word does not form easily, for it has never been needed before. Nothing she has held has ever been taken without return. Nothing has ever disappeared beyond her reach. Until now. She rises, not in panic, but in movement that does not stop. The world responds to her as it always has. The ground yields, the air shifts, life continues where she passes. But something within that response has changed. It is no longer enough, for what she seeks does not answer. She calls, not loudly, not in desperation, but in certainty, as though the act itself should be enough to bring her daughter back. But nothing returns. The silence above is not the same as the silence below. Here, it should break, it should answer. But it does not. This is what deepens the grief. Not only the absence, but the refusal of the world to correct it. Demeter moves across the earth, not with direction, but with urgency that does not require knowing where to go. Every field, every meadow, every place where life continues. She searches, but Persephone is not within them. For the first time, Demeter encounters something beyond her reach, not in strength, not in power, but in condition. What has been taken has crossed into a place she does not govern, a space where her presence does not extend. She feels this boundary, not as visible line, but as absence of response, a silence that does not belong to her world. This is where grief changes, from search into something sharper, something that does not only look, but begins to question. Who has taken her? The thought does not come as accusation, but as necessity, for what is gone must have been taken. Nothing in her world disappears without cause, and cause demands answer. The earth begins to feel her grief, not as destruction, but as withdrawal. The care that once flowed without effort begins to hesitate. The certainty that sustained everything begins to thin. This is not yet visible, not fully, but it has begun, for grief does not remain contained within the one who carries it. It moves outward, into everything they touch. Demeter continues, relentless, unstopping. Her presence no longer rests within the world, it moves through it, searching for what cannot be found. The sky does not answer, the earth does not reveal. The world remains as it is, but no longer feels complete. This is the beginning of change, not from below, but from above. For what has been taken downward has left something behind. An emptiness that does not remain still, it spreads, quietly, inevitably. Demeter does not stop, she cannot. For grief does not allow stillness, it moves until it finds what it has lost, or until it becomes something else, something that no longer searches, but demands. This is where she stands now, at the beginning of that change, not yet knowing where Persephone has gone, but knowing that she is not where she should be. And that knowledge is enough to break what once held the world together, enough to begin what cannot be undone. For a mother who has never lost will not accept loss easily, and what begins as grief will not remain only grief for long. Change does not always begin where it is seen. Sometimes it begins in what is missing, and what is missing begins to shape everything that remains. Demeter continues to search, relentless, unanswered. The movement does not slow, it does not settle, for grief has not found what it seeks, and without finding, it cannot rest. But the world feels it now, not as sudden destruction, not as something that breaks in a single moment, but as withdrawal, quiet, gradual, unfolding in places that once required no attention. The fields do not respond as they did, the soil does not yield with the same certainty. Growth hesitates, not stopping entirely, but no longer effortless. This is the first sign. Not absence, but resistance. Life begins to require what it once received freely. Demeter does not intend this. She does not choose to take from the world, but her focus has shifted. What once moved outward now turns inward, toward the absence she cannot fill, and what is no longer given begins to fade. The air cools, not sharply, not in a way that demands immediate notice, but enough to change the way the world holds itself. The warmth that once remained without effort begins to thin. The light no longer feels the same. It remains, but it does not carry the same fullness. This is how withering begins, not as collapse, but as loss of certainty. The flowers do not vanish, they hesitate. Their bloom does not hold as long, their return is no longer immediate, and in that delay, something new enters the world. Time, not as measure, but as difference between what was and what no longer is. Demeter moves across the land, still searching, still calling, But now, where she passes, life does not rise as it once did. It lingers, waits, as though something essential has been withdrawn, for it has, not by intention, but by absence of attention. This is the nature of what she carried, that her presence sustained, and without that presence, sustaining weakens. The world begins to feel fragile, not visibly broken, but no longer certain of its own continuation. The people notice, not immediately, but slowly, in smaller harvests, in fields that do not answer as they once did, in a quiet unease that does not yet have a name. This is the beginning of fear, not of what is seen, but of what is changing. The animals move differently. The wind does not carry the same softness. Everything remains, but altered, as though the world itself is holding its breath, waiting for something to return that has not yet been restored. Demeter does not see this fully. Her search consumes her. The absence of Persephone fills everything. There is no space left to notice what is happening around her. But what happens around her continues, unstopped. The ground begins to harden, not everywhere, not all at once, but in places, enough to matter, enough to signal that something deeper is changing. The cycle that once held everything in balance begins to fracture, not broken completely, but no longer seamless. This is the birth of decay, not as destruction, but as interruption. A world that no longer renews itself without pause, a world that begins to hold on to what fades instead of replacing it instantly. Demeter's grief spreads, not as intention, but as consequence. For what she cannot give cannot be received, and what cannot be received begins to disappear. This is the first true change in the world above, not caused by force, not brought by war, but by absence. The absence of one becomes the alteration of all. Persephone is gone, and in her absence, Demeter is no longer whole, and in that lack, the world begins to follow. The fields dim, the flowers falter, the air cools further, not into cold, but away from warmth. A direction has begun, not yet complete, but moving. The gods begin to notice, not immediately with action, but with awareness, for what affects the world cannot remain unseen forever. But still, nothing is done, for what has begun has not yet reached its full form. Demeter continues, unyielding, her grief deepening, her search widening, and with each moment that passes, the world weakens further, not collapsing, but leaning towards something it has never known before. This is the beginning of withering, not as end, but as transition, from a world that never lost into one that must learn to. And once that learning begins, it cannot be undone, for what has changed has already taken hold, and it will continue, until something answers the absence, or until the world itself is forced to become something entirely new. Power does not always move. Sometimes it watches, sometimes it waits, and sometimes it chooses stillness, even as everything beneath it begins to change. The world above is no longer whole. The fields weaken, the air cools. Life hesitates where it once continued without effort. This is not hidden. It is not small enough to be ignored. The change spreads, quietly, inevitably, and the gods see it. They feel the shift moving through the earth, through the people, through the balance that once required no attention to hold. They know something has been broken, and yet they do not act. This is not ignorance, it is choice. Zeus knows what has happened, not in fragments, not in uncertainty, but in full awareness. The taking of Persephone, the descent into the underworld, the grief of Demeter now spreading across the world she once sustained. All of it is clear to him, nothing is hidden, and still, he remains still, not out of indifference, but out of understanding, for action at his level does not remain contained. To intervene is not to solve a single moment, it is to reshape everything that surrounds it. The balance between gods, the boundary between worlds, the structure that holds power in place. Hades has acted, not carelessly, not without reason, but within his domain. He has taken Persephone into a world that belongs to him, and what belongs to that world does not return easily. To undo that act would not be simple. It would not end with a command. It would require something larger, something that risks more than it restores. The other gods feel this tension. They gather, not in urgency, but in awareness. They sense the weakening of the earth, the quiet failure of what once sustained itself. They see the people begin to suffer. But their knowledge is not complete. They do not all see the cause, only the effect. An effect alone does not always lead to action. Some speak, softly, questioning what has changed. Why does the earth no longer answer? Why does life begin to withdraw? Why does the balance feel unstable? But questions remain questions. They do not yet become decisions. For none of them stand at the centre of the loss. None of them carry what Demeter carries. And without that weight, action feels distant, abstract, delayed. This is the nature of distance, that what is not directly felt is not immediately acted upon. Demeter moves below them, through the world they observe, her grief no longer contained, her presence no longer sustaining, but searching, demanding. The earth responds to her absence, life weakens, the fields falter, and still, no god steps forward to answer her. This is what deepens the fracture, not only the loss, but the silence that follows it. The people begin to suffer more clearly now, not in small signs, but in consequence. The harvest fails. Food becomes uncertain. The certainty they once lived within begins to disappear. Their voices rise, not toward a single god, but into the world itself, a call for something to respond. But the gods remain above it, watching, listening, still unmoving. This is not cruelty, it is hesitation. A weighing of what must be done, against what it will cost. For if Zeus acts, he must confront Hades. If he confronts Hades, the boundary between worlds is broken again, and if that boundary breaks, the order they depend on begins to shift. This is the cost of action, that it does not remain within one moment. It spreads, as consequence, as change, as something that cannot be easily undone. And so they wait, not because nothing is happening, but because too much is. The world continues to wither, the balance continues to weaken, Demeter's grief continues to grow, and the silence between gods and world stretches further. But silence does not hold forever. It strains, it tightens, until it reaches a point where it can no longer remain unchanged. This is that moment, the space before action, the final stillness before something must be decided. The gods who could act have not yet done so, but what is unfolding below them will not allow that stillness to last. For a world cannot continue to break, without forcing those who watch it to finally move. Not all who listen wait for words. Some hear what is not spoken, what moves beneath sound, what breaks before it is named. Demeter searches, relentless, unanswered. Her movement has not slowed, her grief has not softened, but now it has changed. It has become a call, not shaped into language, not formed into request, but carried through the world as something that cannot remain contained. A cry, not heard by all, not recognized by those who remain distant, but present, deep, unavoidable to those who listen differently. Hecate hears it, not with ears alone, but with awareness. She exists at the edges, between places, between states, between what is seen and what remains hidden. And because she stands between, she hears what others do not. The cry reaches her, not as sound carried through air, but as disturbance, a break in the order that should hold. She pauses, not in confusion, but in recognition. Something has happened. Something that does not belong to the natural movement of the world. She does not ignore it. She does not turn away. For what exists between worlds does not escape her notice. Hecate moves, not with urgency, but with purpose, a direction that forms without needing to be spoken. She follows the disturbance, not a path, not a visible trace, but a presence, a signal left behind by something that has crossed where it should not have. Demeter's grief continues, but now it is no longer unanswered, not entirely, for Hecate approaches, quietly, without announcement, without interruption. She finds her, not in stillness, but in motion, in the endless search that does not rest. Demeter does not see her at first. Her attention is elsewhere, on absence, on what is missing. But Hecate does not require recognition to be present. She stands near, observing, understanding more than she reveals. This is her nature, not to act immediately, but to see clearly, to understand what others cannot yet name. Demeter feels her, not as interruption, but as presence that does not belong to the silence she has been met with. She turns. For the first time since the loss, something answers her, not with solution, not with restoration, but with awareness. Hecate does not claim to know everything. She does not speak with certainty, but she has heard the cry, the moment, the breaking of the earth, not seen, but sensed, and that is enough. For what has no witness remains uncertain, but what has been heard begins to take form. She speaks, not loudly, not as command, but as truth that has not yet been fully revealed. Something has taken Persephone, something that moved between worlds, something that did not belong to the surface alone. Demeter listens, not calmly, not with distance, but with urgency that sharpens every word. For the first time, there is direction, not complete, not enough, but more than absence. Hecate does not offer resolution. She does not lead Demeter to her daughter, but she gives something equally necessary. Recognition that what has happened was not chance, not disappearance, but taking. This changes everything, for grief without cause searches endlessly, but grief with cause begins to focus. Demeter's grief sharpens, it turns, from searching everywhere to searching for something, someone. Hecate stands with her, not as guide, not as saviour, but as witness. And sometimes witness is what begins action. The silence between gods and world begins to crack, not fully, not yet broken, but no longer complete, for someone has heard, someone has responded, and response, once it begins, cannot be undone. Hecate looks toward what lies beyond sight, toward what has not yet been revealed, and though she does not see clearly, she knows where the answer must lie, not above, but below. The path has not yet been found, but it has begun, for the cry has been heard, and what is heard moves toward being answered, not immediately, not easily, but inevitably. Demeter no longer searches in silence, she moves with purpose now, with direction that has not yet reached its end, and beside her, Hecate remains, not leading, not commanding, but present, between what is known and what must be revealed. This is where change deepens, not in the world alone, but in understanding. For what was once absence is now something that can be followed, and what can be followed will eventually be found. A search without direction is movement. A search with purpose becomes something else. It sharpens, it narrows, it begins to take shape. Demeter no longer moves blindly. The grief remains, unchanged. But now it is guided. Not toward a place, but toward a truth. Something has taken her daughter. Something that crossed between worlds. And that knowledge changes how she moves. The earth stretches before her, wide, unending, but no longer directionless. Every step now carries intention. Every place she enters is not just passed through, it is searched, not with sight alone, but with presence. She listens, not for words, but for disturbance. for signs that something unnatural has touched the world. Hecate walks beside her, not ahead, not behind, but with her, a presence that does not lead, but does not leave. Together they move across the earth, through fields that no longer respond, through lands where growth has begun to hesitate, through places that once flourished without effort and now feel the absence of what sustained them. The world reflects Demeter's grief, not dramatically, not all at once, but steadily, quietly. The further she searches, the more the world follows her change. The green begins to dull, the soil begins to resist, the air loses its softness. This is not destruction, it is withdrawal. What once gave freely no longer does, and the earth begins to feel it. They pass through villages, people look upward, not fully understanding, but sensing that something greater than themselves is shifting. Their voices do not stop Demeter, their needs do not reach her, for her search is not one that can pause, not one that can divide itself. Everything within her moves toward one thing: Persephone. The name is no longer soft, it no longer rests easily within her, it drives her, pushes her forward, across distance that no longer feels measured. Time passes, but not in a way that matters. Days do not separate from one another, moments do not rest, there is only continuation. Movement without end. Hecate listens as they travel, not to the world above, but to what lies beneath it, to the faint traces of something that has crossed where it should not have. She does not speak often, but when she does, it is enough. A direction, a shift, a sense of where the truth may lie. Demeter follows, not because she doubts herself, but because she now knows she cannot see everything alone. This is the change. From isolation into awareness. That what has been taken requires more than one to find. The earth continues to weaken, not collapsing, but leaning further into what it has begun. The balance shifts more clearly now. The cycle that once held itself without effort no longer does. This is the cost of the search, that what is not given cannot sustain what depends on it. Demeter feels this, not as guilt, not as hesitation, but as something she cannot yet return to, for she cannot restore the world until she restores what has been taken from her. And so she continues, across mountains, across fields, across lands that stretch beyond sight. Nothing is left unsearched, nothing is passed without presence. The world becomes something she moves through, not something she holds together. This is the turning point, not where the answer is found, but where the search becomes unstoppable, where it no longer waits, no longer hesitates, no longer remains within uncertainty. Hecate pauses. For the first time, not long, but enough, she senses something stronger, a presence that is not scattered, not distant but central, a truth that does not hide in fragments, but exists in one place. She does not name it yet, but she feels it. The direction sharpens, the path begins to form. Demeter feels the shift, not as answer, but as closeness. Something that was once far, now nearer. The search tightens, not across the whole world, but towards something within it. This is where movement becomes pursuit, where grief becomes focus, where absence begins to take shape as something that can be reached. The earth continues to wither behind them, but ahead, something begins to reveal itself, not fully, not clearly, but enough. Enough to know that the search is no longer endless, that it is leading somewhere, and that somewhere holds the truth of what has been taken. Demeter does not stop. She cannot. For now, for the first time, she is no longer searching everywhere. She is searching toward something, and what lies ahead will change everything again. Truth does not always emerge on its own. Sometimes it must be brought into the light, not gently, not willingly, but because it can no longer remain hidden. Demeter's search has narrowed. What was once scattered across the earth now draws toward something central. A presence, a knowing that has not yet been spoken. Hecate feels it first, not as certainty, but as direction. There is one who sees what others do not, one who does not rely on rumour or fragment, one who witnesses all that unfolds beneath the sky. Helios, the sun, not only light, but sight itself. He does not search, he does not follow, he sees, always. Everything that occurs in the world above passes before him. Nothing escapes his presence. This is where the search leads, not to place, but to witness. Demeter turns toward him, not with hesitation, not with doubt, but with the certainty that what she seeks cannot remain hidden from one who sees all. Helios does not move to meet her. He does not descend. He remains where he has always been, constant, unchanging, the one who watches without interruption. Demeter calls to him, not softly, not as request, but as demand. For grief has moved beyond searching. It now seeks answer. An answer must be given. Helios hears, not because he chooses to, but because nothing spoken beneath him escapes his awareness. He answers, not immediately, not without weight. For what he holds is not small, it is truth, and truth, once spoken, cannot be withdrawn. He does not soften it, he does not shape it into something easier to receive, he reveals it. Hades. The name does not arrive gently, it does not require explanation, for it carries with it everything that follows: the taking, the descent, the crossing between worlds. Persephone was not lost, she was taken, not by chance, not by force without purpose, but by decision. Helios does not judge it, he does not intervene, he speaks only what he has seen. That the earth opened, that Hades rose, that Persephone was taken below, and that the world above closed as though nothing had happened. The truth stands, unchanged, unsoftened, complete. Demeter hears it, not as information, but as confirmation of what her grief has already begun to understand. The absence now has form, a cause, a name, and with that, her grief changes again, it sharpens, it hardens, it becomes something more than loss, something that does not only feel, but demands. Hecate remains beside her, silent, for this moment does not require guidance, it requires absorption. For truth, once revealed, must be carried. Demeter does not thank Helios, she does not respond with words, for what she has been given is not something that ends the search, it transforms it. The direction is now clear, not across the earth, but beneath it. Toward the place where her power does not reach, toward the one who has taken what she cannot accept as lost. Helios remains as he is, unchanged by what he has spoken. For witnessing does not bind him to action, he reveals, and in revealing, he completes his part. The world continues to wither, but now it does so under knowledge, not uncertainty, not absence alone, but truth. And truth does not remain still, it moves, through those who carry it, into what they will do next. Demeter turns, not back toward the earth, but toward what lies beyond it. Her grief no longer searches, it moves with purpose now, toward confrontation, toward demand, toward something that cannot remain unanswered any longer. This is the moment where everything shifts again, not in the world alone, but in direction. For now she knows, and knowing changes everything. The silence between gods begins to break, not fully, but enough. For once truth is spoken, it does not disappear, it requires response, and that response is coming, not slowly, not gently, but inevitably. For what has been taken has now been named, and what is named cannot remain unchallenged. Grief does not remain what it was. It begins as absence, then becomes movement, and when it finds its cause, it becomes something else entirely. Something that does not ask, something that does not wait. Demeter knows now. The emptiness within her is no longer undefined. It has shape, it has direction, it has a name. Hades. What was once lost without form is now lost with purpose, and purpose changes everything. She no longer searches the earth as she did before. She no longer listens for echoes that do not return. Her movement tightens, sharpens, turns, away from the world that has already failed her, and toward those who allowed it to happen. The gods. Her presence rises toward them, not as a quiet approach, not as one who seeks permission to be heard, but as force, carrying absence within it, carrying the weight of a world beginning to fail. They feel her before she arrives, a shift in what surrounds them, a pressure that does not belong to stillness, something approaching that will not remain silent. She stands before them, not as one among equals, not as one asking for justice, but as something that has already begun to withdraw what they depend on. Her gaze does not waver, it does not soften, for what stands before her is not ignorance, it is awareness that chose not to act. The question forms, not loudly, not broken, but complete. Why? It does not need to be spoken with force, it carries itself. Through everything that has already changed, through the fields that no longer grow, through the earth that no longer answers, through the absence she now brings with her. Zeus meets her, not turning away, not denying what has been done, but not answering immediately, for he knows the truth already stands between them, and truth does not become easier when spoken. Demeter does not accept silence, not now, not when silence has already allowed this to happen. Her voice rises, not in chaos, not in uncontrolled anger, but in clarity that does not fracture. You knew. The words do not accuse alone. They confirm, for this is not discovery, it is recognition. The gods remain still, not because they do not feel the weight of what stands before them, but because they do. Each aware that this moment cannot be avoided any longer, that what was allowed must now be faced. Demeter's rage is not flame, it is absence turned into force. What she once gave freely, she now withdraws deliberately, not partially, not in hesitation, but completely. If they will not act, then the world will reflect that stillness. The earth responds, more clearly now, more completely. The fields do not grow, the soil hardens. Seeds do not rise. Life does not answer. This is no longer subtle, no longer gradual. It is visible, unavoidable. The consequence of her grief has become choice. Zeus watches, still weighing, not the truth, for that is no longer in question, but the cost. To return Persephone is to confront Hades. To confront Hades is to disturb the boundary that holds their worlds apart. But to do nothing is to allow everything above to fail. This is the balance before him, not between right and wrong, but between outcomes that cannot be undone. Demeter does not move, she does not step back, for her grief has passed beyond pleading. It has become refusal. If Persephone does not return, then nothing will. The cycle will not continue, the earth will not restore itself, the world will remain within absence. This is not threat, it is truth, already unfolding. The gods feel it now, not as distant consequence, but as immediate reality. The balance is no longer stable, it has already begun to break, and what stands before them cannot be ignored. The silence that once held them still begins to strain, to fracture, to lose its ability to remain unchanged. This is the moment before action, the point where stillness becomes impossible, where what has been allowed must now be answered. Demeter stands within that moment, unyielding, unmoving, her grief no longer searching, no longer wandering, but fixed, focused, unavoidable. This is what grief becomes when it is given a name, not sorrow alone, but force. A force that does not fade, that does not retreat, that reshapes the world itself until it is answered. And now they must answer, for the world cannot continue to wither without forcing even the gods to finally move. Not all decisions end conflict. some only reshape it. The silence between the gods cannot hold any longer. What was once contained has begun to break outward. The earth weakens, the people suffer, Demeter stands unyielding, and the balance that once held everything in place has already begun to fracture. Zeus can no longer remain still, not because he lacks power, but because inaction has become its own consequence. The world reflects it now. Openly. Completely. He steps forward, not in haste, not in reaction, but in decision that has been forming long before this moment. For what stands before him is not a simple dispute. It is division between worlds, between what lies above and what lies below, between Demeter and Hades. And what connects them is Persephone, the one who now exists in both absence and presence. Zeus does not deny what has been done. He does not defend it. He does not soften its truth. Instead, he turns toward resolution, not through reversal, but through balance. For what has already happened cannot simply be undone. The crossing has occurred, the boundary has been broken, and what has entered the underworld cannot return unchanged. This is the condition that defines what must come next. A bargain, not as agreement alone, but as necessity, for there is no single action that restores everything, only one that redistributes what has been broken. Zeus speaks, not loudly, but with authority that does not require force. Persephone must return. The words do not ask. They state, for the world above cannot continue without her. Demeter's grief will not end, the earth will not restore itself, life will not return to what it was. But even as he speaks this, another truth stands beside it. What has been taken below belongs to that world now, not completely, but not temporarily either. The underworld does not release without condition. Hades must be answered, not as enemy, not as wrong alone, but as part of the balance that now exists. This is where the decision forms, not in choosing one side, but in dividing what cannot remain whole. Persephone will return, but not forever. She will move between worlds, between light and darkness, between what she was and what she has become. This is the only path that does not collapse everything, not restoration, not reversal, but division, a life split between two states. Demeter hears this, not as solution, but as compromise, and compromise does not soothe grief, it reshapes it. She does not accept immediately, for what she has lost cannot be divided without consequence. But she sees what stands before her, the world failing, the balance breaking, the truth that full return may no longer be possible. Hecate remains silent, witnessing. For this moment does not belong to her. It belongs to those who must decide what cannot be undone. Zeus continues. The terms must be clear. What Persephone has taken in the underworld will determine how she returns, for nothing that enters that world remains untouched, and what is taken there binds. This is the law that cannot be ignored, the condition that shapes the outcome. Demeter listens, not calmly, not fully accepting, but understanding that the moment has moved beyond what she desires into what must be decided. This is the nature of the bargain, not to restore what was lost, but to create something that can exist after it, a new balance, one that did not exist before, one that carries loss within it. The gods feel the shift, the moment where inaction ends, and consequence becomes structure. For what is decided here will not only return Persephone, it will reshape the world itself. The cycle that has never changed will change. The earth will no longer remain in one state. It will move between growth and absence, between presence and withdrawal. This is what the bargain creates, not resolution, but rhythm, a pattern born from loss. Zeus stands within this decision, not as victor, not as judge, but as one who must hold together what has already begun to fall apart. Demeter does not speak. But her stillness shifts from refusal into something else, not acceptance, but recognition that what has been taken cannot return unchanged, and what returns will not remain forever. The bargain is not yet complete. Its final shape has not yet been revealed. But it has begun. And once begun, it cannot be undone. For the world itself now depends on it, and what the world depends on must be carried forward, even if it is not what was once desired. Not all divisions are visible. Some exist within a life itself. A quiet separation that cannot be seen from the outside, but defines everything within. Persephone stands at the centre of that division now, not fully of the world above, not entirely of the world below, but between. A place that is not a place, a condition that cannot remain still. The decision has been made, the bargain has begun to take shape, but she is the one who must carry it, not as idea, not as agreement, but as existence. She has already changed. The descent did not leave her untouched. The silence did not pass through her without effect. The darkness did not surround her without entering her in return. She is no longer only the girl in the meadow, but neither is she fully what the underworld has begun to make of her. This is where she remains, between what she was and what she is becoming. The world above calls to her, not in voice, but in memory. In the warmth that still exists within her, in the shape of a life that once answered without hesitation. But memory is not return. It does not carry her back. It only reminds her of what is no longer fully hers. Below, the underworld holds her differently now, not as a rival, not as something newly taken, but as something that has begun to belong. The stillness does not resist her as it did before. It recognizes her presence. Not completely, but enough. She moves through it without the same disorientation, without the same separation. This is the second change, not in the world, but in her. She begins to understand what surrounds her, not through light, not through explanation, but through familiarity, and familiarity changes what once felt distant. Hades stands within this shift, not holding her in place, not forcing her into what she must become, but present, as he has always been, a constant that does not change, even as she does. He does not ask her to choose, for the choice has already been made beyond her, but he sees the division within her, the movement between two states that cannot be reconciled easily. Above, Demeter waits, not searching now, but holding. The world reflects that waiting. Suspended, between growth and failure, between restoration and absence. Everything pauses, as though the earth itself understands that what comes next will define what it becomes. Persephone feels both worlds now, not as places alone, but as conditions within her, the warmth of one, the stillness of the other, the openness of light, the containment of darkness. Neither disappears, neither releases her completely. This is the truth of what she has become, not divided into two lives, but carrying both within one. This is what the bargain requires, not a return to what was, but a continuation in two directions, a life that does not remain in one state, that moves, that shifts, that exists in transition. This is not balance as it once was. It is something new, something that must be learned, not by the world alone, but by her. She does not resist it, but neither does she fully accept it, for acceptance requires stillness. And she is no longer still, she is movement, between worlds, between selves, between what cannot be joined and what cannot be separated. This is where identity begins to change, not defined by one place, not shaped by one condition, but formed through contrast, through the tension of what exists together, but does not become one. The time has come, not for decision, but for movement. Persephone will return, but not as she left, and not forever. The path opens, not beneath her this time, but before her. A crossing that does not take, but allows. She steps toward it, not with certainty, not with ease, but with understanding that what she carries cannot remain below alone, nor above alone. She rises, not as escape, but as transition. The underworld does not hold her back, but it does not release her entirely either, for part of her remains, as it always will. Above, the world waits, below, the stillness remains, and between them, she moves. This is who she has become. Not only Persephone, not only queen, not only daughter, but something that exists between, and what exists between cannot return to being only one thing again. Not all choices feel like choices. Some arrive quietly, without command, without warning, and yet they bind more deeply than any decision made in clarity. Persephone stands within that moment, between worlds, between movement and return. The path is opened, the way upward exists, not forced, not taken from her, but offered. And yet something remains unfinished. For the underworld does not release without mark. It does not allow what enters it to leave unchanged. This is its law, not spoken, not enforced by hand, but present in everything that exists within it. Hades does not stop her. He does not block the path. He does not command her to remain. Instead, he offers. Not as force, but as gesture. A simple act that does not appear as binding, but is a fruit, small, ordinary in form, yet not ordinary in meaning. The pomegranate, it rests between them, not demanded, not required, only present. Persephone looks at it, not with suspicion, not with understanding, but with the same quiet awareness she has carried through everything. It does not threaten her, it does not resist, it simply exists. This is what makes it powerful. For what binds most deeply does not always appear as force. She has not eaten since her descent, not because she chose not to, but because nothing called her to, nothing asked, nothing offered in a way that mattered. But this is different, not in form, but in moment, in what it represents. The underworld waits, not actively, not with urgency, but with certainty. For what is about to happen will not be undone. Persephone takes the fruit. The motion is small, unremarkable. Her fingers close around it. No resistance, no sign of what it carries. She opens it. The seeds within, dark, glossed with something that holds both life and finality. She does not count them. She does not question. She eats, not in hunger, not in need, but in action that does not yet understand its consequence. The moment passes, quiet, without change. The world does not shift. The air does not alter. Nothing outward reflects what has just occurred. And yet, everything has. The bond is made. Not through command, not through force, but through act. Through something chosen, even without full knowing. This is what makes it final, for what is given freely cannot be undone by will alone. Hades does not speak. He does not need to. The meaning is already there. Persephone feels it, not immediately, not as understanding, but as shift. Something within her settles, not fully, but enough. A connection that did not exist before, now present. She is no longer only passing through, she is tied. To this place, to what it holds, to what it has become within her. The path upward remains, still open, still waiting. But it is no longer simple, no longer a return without cost. For part of her now belongs below, not taken, but given. This is the difference, and it changes everything. Above, the world still waits, suspended, on the edge of restoration. Demeter holds that edge, unmoving, unwilling to let the world continue without her daughter. But what will return will not be untouched. The seeds have made that certain. This is the moment of fate, not decided by gods alone, not shaped only by power, but sealed by something smaller, quieter. A single act that carries consequence beyond itself. Persephone steps toward the path, not unchanged, not free of what has been done, but aware in some quiet way that she is no longer what she was. The underworld does not close behind her, but it does not release her entirely either, for what has been given remains, always. This is what the seeds hold, not nourishment, but binding, a connection that will not break, that will call her back, again and again. The world will change because of this. The balance will not return to what it was. It will become something new, something that moves between presence and absence, between life and stillness, between above and below, all because of this moment, this quiet choice, this unseen turning point. The seeds of fate have been taken, and once taken, they cannot be returned, only carried forward into everything that follows. A choice is not always made in awareness. Sometimes it is only understood after it has already been made. The seeds have been taken. The moment has passed, quiet, unmarked by anything the world would recognize. And yet, it has altered everything that follows. Persephone stands at the threshold between descent and return, between what she was and what she is becoming. The path upward remains open, waiting, but no longer untouched by consequence. She feels it now. Not as regret, not as fear, but as awareness that something has changed within her. A connection, subtle, unseen, but undeniable. The underworld is no longer only a place she entered. It is something that has entered her in return. This is the nature of the choice. That it does not announce itself as decision. It settles, quietly, until it can no longer be ignored. Hades watches, not with triumph, not with demand, but with certainty. For what has been done does not require confirmation. The bond is already there. He does not need to hold her. He does not need to stop her. For the choice itself will do that. Persephone does not yet name it. But she begins to understand its shape. That return will not be complete. That departure will not be final. That she will not belong to one world alone. This is what the pomegranate becomes. Not fruit, not sustenance, but division. A line drawn within her life that cannot be erased. She steps forward, toward the light. The movement feels familiar and unfamiliar at once, for she carries something now that was not there before. Something that moves with her, something that does not remain behind. The darkness does not resist her ascent. It does not close around her, but it does not release her entirely either. It remains, within, as presence that cannot be left behind. Above, the world waits, suspended, held between collapse and restoration. Demeter stands within that stillness, unmoving, unyielding. Her grief has not softened, it has not faded, it has only paused, waiting for what will return. Persephone rises toward that waiting, toward the world that once held her completely. But she does not return as she left. She cannot. For the choice she has made has already changed the terms of her existence. This is the truth of it, that some choices are not between options, but between states of being, between what can remain whole and what must be divided. She has crossed that line, not with hesitation, not with full understanding, but with finality. The pomegranate binds her, not as punishment, not as trap, but as law, a law that exists beyond intention, beyond desire, beyond what she may wish to undo, for what is taken into the body becomes part of it, and what becomes part of it cannot be separated. Hades remains below, unchanged, for this was never about holding her by force, it was about ensuring she could not leave untouched, that her return would carry with it the mark of where she has been. This is what the underworld does. It does not erase, it transforms. Persephone reaches the edge of the light. It does not blind her. but it feels different now. Not as something she belongs to completely, but as something she must re-enter. She steps into it, and in that step, the world shifts, the air moves again, the earth responds, life begins to return. But not fully, not completely, for what has been set in motion cannot be undone. Demeter feels her before she sees her. The presence returns, the absence breaks. The world begins to breathe again. But within that breath, there is difference, a subtle change that does not disappear. For Persephone stands between what she was and what she has become. The reunion will come, the world will restore, but it will not remain that way forever, for the choice has been made, and the choice will return, again and again. This is the true weight of it, not in the moment itself, but in what it creates. A life divided. A world that will follow that division, a rhythm that did not exist before. The pomegranate choice is not a single act, it is a beginning, the start of something that will continue, beyond this moment, beyond her return, beyond even her understanding, for what has been chosen will shape everything that follows, and it will not be undone. Titles do not always follow transformation, sometimes they arrive before it is complete. Spoken into existence, placed upon a life that has not yet fully become what it is named. Persephone returns to the world above, the light receives her, the air shifts, the earth responds, life begins to rise again where it had begun to fail. Demeter feels her before she sees her, the absence breaks, the distance collapses. For a moment, the world holds its breath, then moves. The reunion is not loud, not filled with words. It does not need to be. Presence answers presence. The daughter returns. The mother is no longer empty, and the earth responds immediately. The fields soften, the seeds rise, the air warms, life returns, as though it had only been waiting for this moment to continue. But what returns is not untouched. Persephone stands within the light, but the light does not define her completely anymore. Something else remains within her, quiet, unseen, but present. The underworld has not released her entirely. It cannot, for part of her now belongs to it, and what belongs does not disappear. Demeter holds her, not tightly, not with fear, but with awareness that what has been returned cannot remain as it was. She feels it, the difference, subtle, but undeniable. Persephone is no longer only daughter. She carries something else now. A stillness that does not belong to the surface world. A depth that has not been shaped by light alone. This is what has begun to change. Not her form, not her presence, but her nature. The gods see it, not fully, not completely understood, but recognized. She has crossed, and crossing does not leave one unchanged. The title that was spoken below follows her, queen, not as role alone, but as condition. For she has stood within a world that does not answer to life as it is known above. She has remained within it, and in remaining, she has become part of it. This is what defines her now, not where she stands, but what she carries. She walks through the fields. The flowers respond. The air moves with her again. But there is a difference, a quiet space within her that does not reach outward in the same way, that does not need to be answered. This is the presence of the underworld within her, not as darkness alone, but as stillness that does not change. Demeter sees this, but she does not reject it. She cannot, for to reject it would be to reject what has allowed her daughter to return at all. This is the cost of the bargain. That what is restored is not the same. That what is returned carries where it has been. Persephone feels both worlds now, not as places alone, but as parts of herself. The warmth of one, the quiet of the other, the movement of life, the stillness of what does not move. They do not merge, they do not become one, but they exist together, within her. This is what it means to be Queen of the Dead, not to rule through command, not to stand above what is below, but to belong to it, to carry it, to move between it and what lies above. Hades remains in his world, unchanged, but not untouched, for what has been shared does not disappear. The connection remains, unspoken, but certain. Persephone's return does not end the story, it divides it, for she will not remain above forever. The seeds have already decided that. The bond will call her back. Again and again. This is the truth beneath the restoration, that it is not complete, that it will not last without interruption. The world begins to heal. But it does so differently now, not as endless continuation, but as cycle, something that will rise and fall, return and withdraw. Persephone stands at the centre of that change, not as cause alone, but as bridge, between what lives and what does not, between what grows and what remains still. This is her place now, not fixed, not singular, but moving, always between. The girl has not disappeared, but she is no longer only that. The queen has not fully formed, but she is no longer absent either. She exists in both, and in that existence she becomes something new, not one or the other, but both, held together, without merging, without resolving. This is what defines her now, Queen of the Dead, not because she rules them, but because she belongs to them, and what she belongs to will always call her back. Return is not the undoing of what has happened. It does not erase. It does not restore a life to what it was before it was changed. It reveals the change. Persephone rises, not as she descended, not as the girl who moved through the meadow without question or boundary, but as something that now carries two worlds within her. The path upward does not resist her. It opens, not as escape, but as passage, a movement that allows her to leave without releasing what has already taken hold. She steps forward. The darkness does not close behind her. It does not vanish. It remains, as presence, as something that continues even when she moves away from it. The ascent is quiet, not marked by struggle, not defined by distance, but by transition. The air begins to shift, not fully, not immediately, but enough to signal that what surrounds her is no longer only stillness. The light does not return all at once. It reaches her slowly, at the edges, touching what has not felt it since her descent. She does not recoil from it. But she does not belong to it in the same way anymore. This is the difference. That return does not mean reunion with what was. It means entry into something that now feels different. She reaches the surface, and the world responds. Immediately, the earth softens beneath her, the air moves, the stillness breaks, life begins to rise again as though it had been waiting for this exact moment to continue. Demeter feels her. Before sight, before touch, the absence ends. The emptiness that shaped everything begins to collapse. She moves toward her daughter, not hesitating, not questioning, only knowing. Persephone stands before her, returned, present, and for a moment the world holds, balanced again, as though nothing had ever been broken. But that moment does not last. It cannot, for what has changed remains within it. Demeter reaches her, not with urgency, but with certainty that does not need words. The reunion is quiet, complete in presence alone. And the earth answers immediately. The fields respond. The seeds rise. The warmth returns. Life moves again with force that reflects everything that had been withheld. But within that return, there is difference. Persephone stands within the light, but she does not stand within it completely. There is something within her that does not reach outward, something that remains still, contained. The underworld has not released her entirely. It cannot, for part of her belongs to it now, and what belongs does not disappear. Demeter feels this, not as loss again, but as change. A quiet recognition that what has returned is not what was taken. She does not reject it. She cannot, for this is the only form in which her daughter could return at all. Persephone moves through the fields. The world answers her again, but she does not answer it in the same way. There is pause within her movement, stillness within her presence. She carries something the surface cannot fully receive. This is what return has become. Not restoration, but coexistence between what she was and what she has become. Above, life rises again, but it does not feel endless. Not in the way it once did. There is something beneath it now. A quiet awareness that what has returned will not remain forever. Hades remains below, unchanged, waiting, not with urgency, but with certainty, for what has been bound will return. The seeds have made that inevitable. Persephone feels this, not as command, not as force, but as pull, a connection that does not weaken with distance. The surface world cannot hold her completely anymore. It can receive her, but it cannot keep her. This is the truth beneath the return, that it is not permanent, that it carries within it the certainty of departure. Demeter does not speak this, not now, not within the moment of reunion, but she knows. In the same way she felt the loss, she now feels the limit of what has been restored. The world breathes again, but its breath is no longer constant. It moves, it will change, it will not remain in one state forever. Persephone stands at the centre of that change, not as its cause alone, but as its form. Her return is real. But it is not final. It is part of something that will continue beyond this moment, a rhythm that has already begun. The surface holds her, but only for a time. And time now matters, in a way it never did before. The return has happened, but it has not restored what was lost. It has revealed what has changed. And what has changed will not return to what it was again. Change does not always announce itself as ending. Sometimes it arrives as a pause, a quiet withdrawal of what once continued without question. The world has begun to heal. Persephone has returned. Demeter's grief has loosened. The earth responds again. Life rises. The fields soften. The air warms. For a moment, it feels as though balance has been restored, as though what was broken has been made whole again. But beneath that restoration, something remains, unseen, unspoken, waiting. Persephone walks within the world above. She moves through the fields that answer her presence. The flowers bloom again beneath her steps. The air carries warmth once more. And yet, she does not move as she once did. There is stillness within her, a quiet distance that does not fade in the light, for part of her remains elsewhere, below. The bond does not weaken. It does not disappear with her return. It holds, gently, constantly, a presence that does not leave. Demeter feels it, not as loss, but as limit, a boundary that did not exist before. She holds her daughter, she walks beside her, she restores what she can, but she cannot remove what has already been placed within her. This is what changes everything, that even in reunion, there is separation. Time begins to move differently, not as endless continuation, but as approach, towards something that has not yet arrived. The world continues to bloom, but the bloom does not feel permanent. It carries within it the knowledge that it will not last. Persephone feels the pull, not as command, not as force, but as inevitability. The underworld calls her, not with voice, but with presence that remains connected to her. She does not resist it, but neither does she move toward it willingly. She exists between, as she now always does. This is where the first change begins, not in disappearance, but in withdrawal. The warmth lingers, but it begins to thin, not suddenly, not sharply, but gradually. The air cools, the light softens, the growth that once surged begins to slow. This is not decay, not yet. It is hesitation. The world begins to hold back, as though it senses what is coming. Demeter feels it more deeply, for she knows what it means. The return was never permanent. The bargain does not allow it. Persephone will leave again. And when she does, the world will follow. The moment arrives quietly, not marked by event, not broken by sound, but present. The pull deepens, the connection strengthens. What was once distant, now near. Persephone turns, not suddenly, not with resistance, but with understanding that this movement cannot be stopped. Demeter sees it. Before it happens, the change in her daughter, the shift that cannot be undone, and once again, she faces what she cannot prevent. Persephone descends, not taken this time, not forced, but drawn, bound by what has already been done. The earth does not break open as it did before. It allows. It opens in a way that does not resist what must happen. She returns below, and with her the world above changes. The warmth fades, the growth slows further, the air cools into something sharper. The fields no longer respond, life withdraws. This is the first winter, not as destruction, but as absence returning. The world does not die, it rests, it holds what remains without growing, without renewing, without answering as it once did. Demeter stands within it, her grief returns. But not as it was before, now it is known, expected, part of something larger. She does not search, she does not wander, she remains, within the world that reflects what she feels. The earth grows quiet, the air grows still. The life that once moved freely waits. This is not the end, it is the other side of what has begun. For what rises must fall, and what returns must leave again. Persephone remains below, not lost, not gone, but present in another place, and the world above holds that absence, not permanently, but fully, until she returns again. This is what has been created, not a world of endless growth, but one of rhythm, of movement between states, of presence and absence. The first winter settles, not as finality, but as beginning, the start of a cycle that will continue again and again. And nothing will remain the same as it once was. What begins as rupture does not remain chaos. Over time, it finds a pattern. What was once unbearable becomes something the world learns to carry. Not easily, not without cost, but continuously. The first winter has passed. Not completely, but enough for the world to understand what it means. Stillness is no longer unfamiliar. Absence is no longer impossible. The earth has felt it, and in feeling it, it has changed. Below, Persephone remains, not lost, not taken, but present within the underworld as something that belongs there now. The darkness no longer surrounds her as something separate. It exists with her, as part of what she has become. Time passes, not through sunlight, not through shadow, but through presence itself, through how long she remains, through when something within her begins to shift again. And it does, quietly, inevitably. The pull returns, not as force, not as demand, but as balance correcting itself. What went below must rise again. Persephone feels it, the movement upward, the call of the surface world. She does not resist, for resistance does not undo what has been created. She ascends, and as she does, the world above begins to change, before she arrives, before she is seen. The earth softens, the air warms, the stillness loosens its hold, life begins to stir. This is the first spring, not as it once was, but as response. A return that follows absence, a renewal that carries memory of what has been lost. Demeter feels her, not as surprise, but as return she has come to expect. Her grief lifts, not gone, but eased. And with that easing, the world answers, the fields bloom, the air fills with movement. Life expands again, but it is not the same expansion as before. It is not endless. It does not assume it will remain. It grows with awareness that it will not last forever. Persephone walks the earth again. The light touches her, the warmth surrounds her, but neither holds her completely. She belongs and does not belong. This is the truth of what she has become. The world feels it, not in form, but in rhythm. Days pass, growth deepens, the world reaches its fullness. This is what becomes summer. Not a separate state, but the height of presence. The moment where life extends as far as it can, before it must change again. And it does. The shift begins. Not sharply, not all at once, but gradually. The warmth softens, the light changes, the growth begins to slow. Persephone feels the pull again, not sudden, but certain. The bond below does not weaken, it waits, and then it cools. She turns, not in resistance, not in confusion, but in understanding. For this movement has already become part of her. She descends. And the world follows. The warmth fades, the fields slow, the air cools. This is autumn. Not loss yet, but the beginning of it. The moment where presence starts to withdraw, where life prepares to release what it cannot hold. Demeter feels it, but she does not resist as she once did. She knows now. This is not the end. It is part of what will return. Still, it does not pass without weight. Persephone moves below again. And with her, the world enters winter once more. The cycle is complete, not ended, but established. Spring, summer, autumn, winter, not as separate events, but as movement, as rhythm, as the world learning how to exist with what has been changed. This is what replaces what once was endless, not constant life, but returning life, not uninterrupted growth, but growth that rises after stillness. The people learn this slowly, through observation, through experience, through living within what they cannot control. They begin to understand that time now carries shape, that it moves, that it brings change. This is the deeper transformation, not only in the earth, but in understanding. The world is no longer fixed, it is alive in a new way, defined by movement, defined by return, defined by the certainty that nothing remains as it is. Persephone stands at the centre of this, not as ruler of it, but as its form. Her movement creates the seasons, her presence brings life, her absence brings stillness. She is the rhythm now, the bridge between what grows and what rests, between what rises and what returns below. This is the cycle of seasons, not perfect, not unbroken, but continuous. A world that has learned to carry loss, and still continue, again and again, without end. Some transformations do not settle into one form. They remain divided, not broken, but held between two truths that cannot be joined. Persephone has become one of those truths. She no longer belongs to a single world. She no longer exists within a single identity. She moves between. And in that movement, she becomes something new. Above, she is daughter, the return of warmth, the presence that brings life back to the earth. Below, she is queen, stillness, authority, the one who stands beside death without being consumed by it. These are not roles she switches between, they exist within her at the same time. This is what defines her now, not one nature, but two. The world above feels her differently when she returns, not only as presence, but as something that carries depth. The light does not erase what she has known. The warmth does not remove the stillness within her. She walks through blooming fields, and yet something in her remains untouched by their movement. This is not loss, it is change. Below, the underworld does not treat her as an outsider. It does not resist her. It does not question her presence. She moves through it with familiarity now, not fully belonging, but no longer separate. The silence answers her differently, not with sound, but with recognition. This is the second nature, not learned, but absorbed. Hades stands beside her, unchanged, constant. But their connection is no longer only one of taking, it is shared existence. She understands the world he rules, and in understanding, she becomes part of it. This is what makes her different from what she was. Before, she belonged entirely to life. Now, She belongs to both life and death, not equally, not completely, but undeniably. The movement between worlds does not divide her into separate selves, it deepens her. Each return above carries the memory of below. Each descent carries the presence of what she leaves behind. Nothing is lost, everything is carried. This is the weight of duality, that nothing can be left in one place, that everything must be held together, even when it does not fully belong together. Demeter sees this, not in words, but in presence. Her daughter is not as she was, but she is not gone either. She exists in a way that cannot be undone, and Demeter must learn to accept both sides of her, not only the one she understands, but the one she cannot fully reach. The world reflects this duality. When Persephone rises, life returns, but it is not blind. It carries awareness of what will come. When she descends, stillness follows, but it is not final. It carries the certainty of return. This is what the seasons truly are, not just change, but expression of her nature. Two states, held within one existence. The people begin to understand this slowly, not through knowledge, but through experience. They see that the world does not remain in one form, that it shifts, returns, leaves, comes back again. They learn to live within this movement, to expect both presence and absence, to understand that both are part of the same whole. Persephone stands at the centre of this understanding, not explaining it, but embodying it. She is not only the bringer of spring, nor only the queen below. She is both. At all times, even when she stands in one place, this is what makes her powerful. Not in control, but in existence. She carries contradiction without breaking. She holds two worlds without choosing one. She remains whole, not by being singular, but by being divided. This is her nature now. Not something that will change, not something that will resolve, but something that will continue. Always, through every cycle, through every return, through every descent. The girl in the meadow still exists. The queen of the dead now exists beside her. They do not replace each other. They remain, together, within one life. This is the truth of Persephone, not one identity, but two, held within a single being. And in that, she becomes something more than either alone. She becomes the bridge between life and death, between light and darkness, between what begins and what ends, and what exists between is what endures. Power does not always declare itself. Sometimes it settles, quietly, until what once felt unfamiliar becomes natural. Persephone no longer stands in the underworld as something taken. She stands within it as something that belongs. Not completely, not without memory of what lies above, but with a presence that no longer feels out of place. This is the change that time has shaped. That what once resisted her now recognizes her. The silence does not close around her as it once did. It holds her differently. Not as absence, but as part of its own stillness. Hades stands beside her, unchanging, constant, the ruler of a world that does not shift with emotion or movement. But now, he does not stand alone. Persephone is no longer only near him, she stands with him. Not beneath, not behind, but beside. This is not declared, not spoken into law. It is recognized, through presence, through the way the underworld responds to her, through the way she moves within it without resistance. This is what it means to rule here. Not to command loudly, not to impose will, but to exist as part of what governs the space itself. The souls that move through this world do not look at her as they once might have, not as something unfamiliar, not as something temporary. They feel her presence as they feel his, not identical, but equal in weight, different in nature, yet balanced. Hades does not teach her how to rule. He does not shape her into his reflection. For rule in this place is not learned, it is absorbed. Through remaining, through understanding what does not change. through becoming part of what cannot be moved. Persephone learns this, not through instruction, but through existence. Through time spent in stillness, through witnessing what passes through this world, through seeing what does not return. She does not bring light into the underworld. She does not attempt to transform it into something else. She does not soften what it is. Instead, she becomes something that can exist within it, without breaking, without needing to change it. This is what makes her a ruler beside Hades, not that she alters the world, but that she belongs to it without losing herself. There is difference between them. Hades is stillness that has never changed. Persephone is movement that has learned to hold stillness within it. He is permanence, she is transition. Together, they form something balanced, not identical, but complete. The underworld reflects this balance. It does not shift in form, but it shifts in presence. There is something within it now that did not exist before. Not light, not life, but awareness of both. A quiet connection to what lies above, not enough to change its nature, but enough to expand it. Persephone walks through its halls, through its silence, through its unchanging paths, and nothing resists her, nothing questions her right to be there. This is authority, not given, not taken, but accepted. She stands beside Hades, not as equal in sameness, but as equal in presence. Two forces, different, yet bound together. The bond between them is no longer only defined by the taking. It has become something else, not soft, not emotional in the way the world above understands, but steady, certain. They exist within the same space, without conflict, without need to change one another. This is what defines their rule. Not dominance, but coexistence. Above, Persephone is still daughter, still return, still life that brings growth. Below, she is something different, not opposite, but aligned with what exists there. She does not leave one behind when she enters the other. She carries both, and that is what allows her to stand in both worlds. This is her power, not to choose between them, but to remain whole within both. The underworld does not change its nature, but it changes in what it holds. It now holds a ruler who understands both presence and absence, both life and death, both movement and stillness, and in that understanding, it becomes something more complete. Persephone stands beside Hades, not as shadow, not as reflection, but as something that could not have existed before. A ruler shaped by two worlds, holding both within her, without breaking, without choosing. This is what it means to rule beside him, not to take his place, not to change his world, but to stand within it, as something equally unmovable. And in that stillness, power settles, quiet, enduring, unquestioned. Power does not always declare itself. Sometimes it settles, quietly, until what once felt unfamiliar becomes natural. Persephone no longer stands in the underworld as something taken. She stands within it as something that belongs, not completely, not without memory of what lies above, but with a presence that no longer feels out of place. This is the change that time has shaped, that what once resisted her now recognizes her. The silence does not close around her as it once did. It holds her differently, not as absence, but as part of its own stillness. Hades stands beside her, unchanging, constant, the ruler of a world that does not shift with emotion or movement. But now he does not stand alone. Persephone is no longer only near him, she stands with him, not beneath, not behind, but beside. This is not declared, not spoken into law, it is recognized. Through presence, through the way the underworld responds to her, through the way she moves within it without resistance. This is what it means to rule here. Not to command loudly, not to impose will, but to exist as part of what governs the space itself. The souls that move through this world do not look at her as they once might have, not as something unfamiliar, not as something temporary. They feel her presence as they feel his, not identical, but equal in weight, different in nature, yet balanced. Hades does not teach her how to rule. He does not shape her into his reflection. For rule in this place is not learned, it is absorbed, through remaining, through understanding what does not change, through becoming part of what cannot be moved. Persephone learns this, not through instruction, but through existence, through time spent in stillness, through witnessing what passes through this world, through seeing what does not return. She does not bring light into the underworld. She does not attempt to transform it into something else. She does not soften what it is. Instead, she becomes something that can exist within it, without breaking, without needing to change it. This is what makes her a ruler beside Hades, not that she alters the world, but that she belongs to it without losing herself. There is difference between them. Hades is stillness that has never changed. Persephone is movement that has learned to hold stillness within it. He is permanence, she is transition. Together, they form something balanced, not identical, but complete. The underworld reflects this balance. It does not shift in form, but it shifts in presence. There is something within it now that did not exist before. Not light, not life, but awareness of both. A quiet connection to what lies above, not enough to change its nature, but enough to expand it. Persephone walks through its halls, through its silence, through its unchanging paths, and nothing resists her. Nothing questions her right to be there. This is authority. Not given, not taken, but accepted. She stands beside Hades, not as equal in sameness, but as equal in presence. Two forces, different, yet bound together. The bond between them is no longer only defined by the taking. It has become something else. Not soft, not emotional in the way the world above understands, but steady, certain. They exist within the same space, without conflict, without need to change one another. This is what defines their rule, not dominance, but coexistence. Above Persephone is still daughter, still return, still life that brings growth. Below, she is something different, not opposite, but aligned with what exists there. She does not leave one behind when she enters the other. She carries both. And that is what allows her to stand in both worlds. This is her power, not to choose between them, but to remain whole within both. The underworld does not change its nature, but it changes in what it holds. It now holds a ruler who understands both presence and absence, both life and death, both movement and stillness, and in that understanding, it becomes something more complete. Persephone stands beside Hades, not as shadow, not as reflection, but as something that could not have existed before. A ruler shaped by two worlds, holding both within her, without breaking, without choosing. This is what it means to rule beside him, not to take his place, not to change his world, but to stand within it, as something equally unmovable. And in that stillness, power settles, quiet, enduring, unquestioned. Judgment in its truest form is not loud. It does not arrive with a voice that declares. It does not strike like a command. It settles, quietly, as understanding. Persephone stands within the underworld, not only as queen, but as something that sees, not surface, not form, but what remains beneath both. The souls arrive, not as they once were, not with bodies that carried their names and movements. They come as echoes, as remnants of lives already lived. What enters this place is not the whole of who they were, but what they have become after everything else has fallen away. The underworld receives them without question. It does not stop them, it does not resist, it allows. But allowance is not understanding. and understanding is what Persephone brings. She does not sit in judgment as mortals imagine. There is no throne raised above the dead, no scales held in her hands, no word spoken to declare worth. She stands, and in standing, she sees. Each soul carries weight, not visible, not measurable in form, but present. Some are light, not because they were perfect, but because they have released what binds them. Others are heavy, not because they were entirely dark, but because they hold tightly to what they cannot let go. Persephone does not decide this, she recognizes it. And recognition becomes direction. The souls move, not guided by command, not forced by will, but drawn toward what reflects what they carry. This is judgment in this world, not punishment, not reward, but alignment, each soul settling into the truth of itself. Hades remains beside her, unmoving, constant. He does not interfere with this process, for this is not his role. He governs the realm. But Persephone understands what enters it. Together, they create balance, structure and awareness, law and perception. The dead pass before her endlessly. There is no beginning, no end, only continuation, each soul carrying its own story, its own weight, its own truth, and none of it can be hidden here. For this is a place where nothing remains concealed, not intention, not memory, not what was done, or left undone. Everything settles into clarity. Persephone sees this, not with effort, not with strain, but naturally, for she has lived in both worlds. She has known light, she has known darkness. She understands what is shown, and what lies beneath it. This is what makes her capable of judgment. Not authority, but perspective. She remembers life, the movement, the emotion, the uncertainty. And because she remembers, she does not see the dead as distant. She understands them. But she does not follow them into what they carry. She remains separate. This is what allows her to stand where she does, to see without being pulled, to understand without altering what must remain true. The underworld deepens through her presence, not changing its nature, but expanding its awareness. What was once only a place of stillness becomes a place of clarity. Not judgment imposed, but truth revealed. The souls do not resist this. They cannot. For what is revealed here is what they already are, and what they are determines where they remain. Some fade deeper, into quiet that does not return. Others linger closer to memory, to presence that has not fully dissolved. Persephone does not choose this for them, she stands within it. And through her, it becomes visible. This is her role, not ruler alone, not queen by title, but witness, judge, the one who sees what cannot be hidden. Hades stands beside her, as he always has, but what they hold together is not the same as what existed before. He is permanence, she is understanding within that permanence. Together, they complete what the underworld requires, a place that does not only receive, but reveals. The souls continue to arrive, without pause, without end, and Persephone remains, still, watching, seeing, not speaking, for nothing needs to be said, the truth is already present, and in that truth, judgment exists, not as verdict, but as reflection, each soul meeting what it has become, and settling within it. This is what she has become, not only between worlds, but between states of being, life and after, action and consequence, what is done and what remains. She stands in that space, unmoving, unyielding, and through her, nothing remains hidden. This is judgment, not given, but revealed, and what is revealed cannot be undone. Transformation is not a single moment. It is not the instant something changes form. It is the accumulation of what cannot be undone. Persephone was not made queen in the moment she was taken, nor in the moment she was named. She became queen over time, through what she endured, through what she learned, through what she could no longer return from unchanged. She was once only the maiden, defined by light, by innocence that had never been broken, by a world that answered her without resistance. She moved without weight, without knowledge of absence, without understanding what it meant to lose. That version of her still exists, but it no longer stands alone. The descent changed her. Not suddenly, not completely in a single moment, but piece by piece. The darkness did not erase her. It revealed what she could become within it. The silence did not break her. It taught her how to exist without being answered. The stillness did not consume her. It became part of her. This is how transformation happens. Not by replacing what was, but by adding what cannot be removed. She did not lose the maiden. She grew beyond her. The underworld did not shape her into something lesser. It shaped her into something more complex. Something that could hold both light and darkness, without collapsing into either. This is what defines a queen. Not title, not power, but the ability to stand within what others cannot endure, and remain whole. Persephone stands within both worlds now. Above, she is still the return of life, the warmth that breaks winter, the presence that allows the earth to breathe again. But even there, she is no longer untouched. There is depth in her now. A quiet awareness that does not leave. She knows what absence feels like. She knows what it means for the world to stop answering. This knowledge does not fade. It remains. Below, she is no longer the one who arrived in confusion. She does not look for escape. She does not search for what she has lost. She stands within the underworld as something that belongs, not fully claimed by it, but no longer separate from it. This is where the maiden ends, not in disappearance, but in transformation. She is no longer defined by what she has not experienced. She is defined by what she has endured. Hades sees this, not as change that needs to be shaped, but as something that has already become real. He does not name her queen now, for the name no longer needs to be spoken. It exists in how she stands, in how the world below responds to her, in how she no longer hesitates within it. This is what it means to become, not to be told what you are, but to exist in a way that makes it undeniable. Demeter sees it too, not as loss, but as distance that cannot be closed. Her daughter has not been taken from her, but she has changed in a way that cannot be reversed. The innocence that once defined her is no longer complete. And yet, she is not diminished, she is expanded. This is the quiet truth of transformation, that it does not always take away. Sometimes it adds weight, depth, understanding that was never needed before. Persephone carries this now, in every movement, in every return, in every descent. She is no longer becoming, she has become. The maiden remains within her, but she does not lead. The queen stands beside her, equal, present, unavoidable. They do not replace each other, they exist together, as two truths within one life. This is what defines her final transformation, not one form replacing another, but both remaining, held together, without resolution, without merging into something simpler. She is both, always. The world reflects this. Spring carries joy, but also memory of winter. Winter carries stillness, but also certainty of return. Nothing is singular anymore. Everything holds what came before it. This is what Persephone has become. Not just a figure within the cycle, but its meaning. The movement from innocence to understanding, from unknowing to awareness, from maiden to queen. And that movement does not end. It continues in every return, in every descent, in every moment where she stands between what she was and what she has become. This is her final truth, not one or the other, but both, held together endlessly. Some endings are not conclusions. They are the moment where everything begins to hold its shape, not as it once was, but as it must now remain. The world has changed, not in a single moment, not through one act alone, but through everything that has unfolded. Persephone stands at the centre of that change, not as cause alone, but as form. She moves between worlds, and in that movement, she holds them together. Above, life continues. It grows, it rises, it fills the earth with movement and warmth. But it no longer believes itself endless. It carries memory now, of absence, of stillness, of what it means to lose what once felt permanent. Below, the underworld remains, unchanging, still, a place where nothing returns as it was, where everything settles into what it has become. But even here, something has shifted, not in form, but in connection, for it is no longer separate from the world above. It is part of a greater whole, a system, a balance. Persephone is the bridge, not by choice, not by design alone, but by becoming. She carries life into death and death into life, not merging them, but allowing them to exist in relation. This is what balance becomes, not equal stillness, not perfect harmony, but movement, a rhythm that does not stop. Spring rises, life returns, the earth breathes, summer deepens, growth reaches its height, the world expands into fullness, autumn follows, not as failure, but as release. What cannot remain begins to fall away. And then, winter, stillness, not as ending, but as rest, a return to quiet, a holding of what remains. This cycle does not break, it does not end, it continues, again and again, not repeating exactly, but moving forward through repetition, each turn carrying memory of the last, each return shaped by what has already been. This is what the world has become, not constant, but enduring through change. Demeter stands within this rhythm, no longer resisting it, no longer trying to restore what was. She has learned to live within it, to accept both presence and absence, to hold both joy and grief, not at the same time, but as parts of the same whole. Her love does not weaken, but it changes. It learns to wait, to endure separation, to trust return. Hades remains below, unmoved, constant, but not untouched. For what he holds is no longer isolated. It is part of something that extends beyond his world, a connection that does not break, even when Persephone leaves. Persephone herself is no longer divided, not in the way she once was. She does not struggle between two identities. She carries them, fully, without needing to choose. She is life, she is death, she is return, she is departure, she is the space between what begins and what ends. This is what makes her eternal, not because she does not change, but because she is the form of change itself. The world reflects her, in every season, in every cycle, in every moment where something rises and something falls. Nothing remains as it is. And yet, nothing is truly lost. Everything returns, in a different form, at a different time, within a different state. This is the truth the world has learned, that life and death are not opposites, they are movements within the same whole. One does not end the other. One leads into the other, again and again. Persephone stands within that truth, not explaining it, not defining it, but living it. With every descent, with every return, she becomes the balance, not fixed, not still, but always in motion. The maiden has not vanished, the queen has not replaced her. They exist together, as two parts of something that cannot be reduced to one. This is what endures, not simplicity, but complexity held in harmony. The world continues, not as it once was, but as something deeper, something that understands loss, and still chooses to grow, something that accepts stillness, and still returns to movement. This is the eternal balance, not perfect, not unbroken, but lasting. And within it, Persephone remains, not at the beginning, not at the end, but in between, where everything meets, where everything changes, and where everything continues. Stories do not end where events conclude. They linger, not in what happened, but in what continues because of it. The world turns, as it always has, but not as it once did. There was a time when nothing left, when life moved forward without interruption, when the earth did not know what it meant to wait. That time is gone, not destroyed, not forgotten, but changed. Now, the world breathes differently. It rises, and it falls, it blooms, and it withdraws. It learns over and over again that presence is not permanent, that warmth will fade, that stillness will come, and that both are necessary. This is what remains after everything has happened, not the taking, not the grief, not even the return, but the understanding that came after. Persephone moves, as she always will, between above and below, between light and darkness. She does not belong to one, she does not abandon the other, she exists between them. And because she does, they are no longer separate. The earth knows her, not only in spring, but in absence, in the quiet months when nothing grows, when the ground holds what it cannot yet give, when the air carries stillness instead of life. That stillness is not empty. It is waiting. The memory of her remains, even when she is not there. And when she returns, the world answers, not with surprise, but with recognition. The flowers rise again. The warmth spreads. The air softens. But now, there is something within that return that did not exist before. Awareness. A quiet understanding that this will not last, that it will pass, and that it will come again. This is what the world has learned. Not permanence, but rhythm. Demeter stands within this rhythm, no longer searching, no longer breaking the world in grief. She has become part of the cycle she once resisted. She knows the absence will come, she feels it before it arrives. But she also knows it will not remain. Her love has not lessened, it has deepened. Learn to stretch across time, to endure what cannot be held, to trust what will return. This is not peace, not in the way it once was. It is something quieter, something steadier. Acceptance. Hades remains below, unchanging, unmoved by seasons, but even he is not untouched, for what he holds is no longer isolated. The underworld is no longer only an ending, it is part of something larger, a continuation, a place that does not oppose life, but completes it. And Persephone, she stands between them all, not as a symbol, not as a story, but as a presence that cannot be reduced to one meaning. She is the girl in the meadow, she is the queen below, she is the return, she is the departure. She is what connects what begins to what ends, and what ends to what begins again. This is why her story does not fade, because it is not only her story, it is the story of everything that lives, everything that changes, everything that must, at some point, let go and return. The seasons continue. Spring, summer, autumn, winter, again and again, not as repetition, but as remembrance, a quiet echo of what once broke the world and remade it. And in that repetition, there is something almost gentle, a rhythm that holds both joy and loss, without needing to resolve them, without needing to choose. The world does not ask to be whole anymore. It has learned to exist in parts, to move through change, to carry what has been into what will be. This is what remains. Not the moment the earth opened, not the cry that followed, not even the bargain that shaped everything after, but the balance, fragile, enduring, unfinished, and always moving. Persephone walks between worlds, as she always will, not stopping, not settling, but continuing, and because she does, the world continues too, not as it once was, but as something deeper, something that understands that endings are not final, that absence is not emptiness, that what leaves can return, and what returns will one day leave again. This is the quiet truth beneath everything, the thing that remains when the story is over, that nothing is ever truly still, that everything moves, that everything changes, and that within that change there is something that endures, not fixed, not unbroken, but real. And that is enough. The story does not end, it settles. Into the world itself, into every season, into every cycle, into every moment where something fades and something else begins. And in that, it continues. Always.